need to do the surveillance. They could have somewhat different smart meter systems where they can't spy on you and they can't take control, but they do cause you to pay more for electricity, maybe even 10 times more. They could when it's really in too high demand, and most people would then voluntarily set their certain appliances not to run during.
Sure, my point is that sure,
but spying is gratuitous. That's my point. There's no need for the system to do spying. The reason they're making it do spying is they want spying, and the justifications they're giving are irrelevant. They could achieve the legitimate justification without spying.
Dr. Stallman, are you saying bin Laden is not hiding in a 2-year-old's diaper?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's conceivable that somebody might put a bomb in a 2-year-old's diaper.
Hey, you know what? There might be a bomb right now in your lower intestine. We're going to need to take you in for surgery right now.
Who knows? But that's a somewhat different issue you've got to recognize.
No, but I'm being sarcastic. It's all a giant power grab.
My main concern with the TSA is that they check for things other than bombs or weapons.
Oh, yeah. Now they're downloading people's laptops and cell phones, as you just said.
Yeah, the point is that the TSA, to make it, I think that in order for the TSA to be constitutional, they should not be allowed to take notice of anything other than a weapon that threatens the safety of the flight.
I disagree. You're an extremist. I think everyone should have proctology exams. I'm being sarcastic, Doctor.
Yeah. Anyway, you said I should tell people about GNU.
Yes, sir. Tell us.
Well, what's GNU is a well-known question. And the answer is GNU is not Unix. GNU is a recursive acronym. It stands for GNU is not Unix. But what does that mean? Well, basically, GNU is an operating system. It's an operating system designed to be entirely free software. That is, entirely software that the users control, no software that controls the users. And lots of people use GNU, but they don't know it because they think that it's Linux. If you hear people talking about using Linux, well, it's really the GNU system together with a program called Linux, which is one component of the system as we use it today. So a fair name for this combination would be GNU plus Linux. The GNU contribution is bigger, but we can share credit with Mr. Torvalds also for the component Linux, which he wrote in 1991 and 2 and so on. So, in fact, lots of people use the GNU system.
I'll tell you what, tell us more about GNU. We got a long segment. That was a short one. Dr. Stallman is our guest, and I will control myself on TSA humor straight ahead. I want to get into more on that, and then the human-brain interface. What happens when they control the software in your brain and it isn't free? We're going to get into cyborgs and all of the backdoor tech built into the proprietary garbage. Hey, give you sight. Hey, get rid of Alzheimer's. Technology's great, except when it has Trojan horses built into it. We're going to be talking to Dr. Stallman, Dr. Richard Stallman, gnu.org, stallman.org. Let's move quick, though, but we're having even better discussions during the breaks. Finish up on your point about what your software is, and then you're explaining to me the semantical manipulations here, why it's so important. I tend to agree with you. The overuse of the word free, the conflating of the terms versus gratis or open. Explain that to us.
Okay, well, first of all, I almost finished with saying what GNU is. It's an operating system. Many people call it Linux, which is really the name of one piece. Now, there are many different distributions of GNU plus Linux. Some of them are entirely free. Unfortunately, most of them include some non-free software, so I can't recommend them. But you can find out more in gnu.org/distros. That's where we talk about which distros are free and which ones are not, and why they're not. In any case, when I first started talking about free software in 1983, I wasn't aware of the confusion in my own ideas due to the two meanings of the word free. After all, free means zero price, but it also means that you have freedom. Well, after a few years, I figured out I had to explicitly separate these two meanings. So I started saying it's free as in freedom. Sometimes I say it's libre, using a Spanish word that's clear. But then a few years ago, I also realized that whenever I want to talk about zero price, to avoid confusion, I should say gratis. After all, everyone knows gratis means zero price. It's perfectly clear, but this way, whenever I say the word free, it always refers to freedom and only freedom. So this way, at least in my own discourse, I've got a word that refers to freedom unambiguously. Of course, that's not everybody, but you might want to follow this convention too. Now, I'm not going to blame anybody for causing free to have these two meanings. I'm sure that happened a few centuries ago.
Yeah, but explain what free software means. It doesn't mean free in price necessarily.
It's not about price at all. It means it respects the user's freedom and community. And there are 4 specific essential freedoms that the users need in order to have control over the program they use. Freedom 0 is the freedom to run the program as you wish. Freedom 1 is the freedom to study the source code and change it to make it do your computing the way you wish. Freedom 2 is the freedom to redistribute exact copies to others when you wish. And Freedom 3 is the freedom to distribute copies of your modified versions to others when you wish. So the first 2 freedoms give us individual control. One user individually, and any user individually has control over the program that way. But individual control is not enough, partly because most users don't know how to program. They don't know how to study and change source code. But even if you know how, you use so many programs you couldn't possibly have time to work on them all yourself, even if you're a great programmer. So we need to do this together. We need collective control over the program. And the 4 freedoms give us both individual control and collective control. When I say collective control, I mean that any group of users who want to use this one version and maintain it, they can. Those who know how to program will do the maintaining of it, and the rest will just use it. But they all get to choose whether to participate in that group, and any group of people that choose to do this are free to do this, people or organizations, because it includes all the users.
Sure.
So that's what free software means precisely. It means that the users have freedom as they ought.
And you've already basically defined the opposite of that, which is this proprietary. Explain then what the confusion is when they use the word open.
Well, in 1998, there was a political disagreement within the free software community, which had existed for many years. There were those of us who thought of this in ethical terms as a fight for freedom, people like me. And then there were the people who appreciated the software and contributed to it, but they only appreciated it for practical benefits. And they didn't want to present this in terms of right and wrong. And in 1998, they coined the term open source as a way to talk about the field and the software without ever saying free. And nowadays, if you look around, you'll see that the term open source is usually associated with a purely practical approach to the issue, one that's not idealistic, one that doesn't raise it as an issue of justice versus injustice.
Sure, sure. Well, we talked about this.
Software movement.
Sure, we talked about this last time you were on. You know, I'm a multimedia operation to get my information, which is more freedom, out to people from my perspective. And so many times we end up using free or then other softwares that they call open, but a lot of times it is free because the other stuff that's offered by industry, it's not just that it's more expensive, it doesn't work because it's so chock full of spy gadgets. I mean, I told you this example last time. You wanted us to send you some examples. I told the guys to. I don't know if they did. They're so busy. But when you buy televisions now, or when you buy systems and we're trying to run our own video we've produced over these monitors, we have to go through all sorts of gesticulations because it's got copyright coding on it to try to stop things from playing over it unless it's already coded. And it's like, what? You don't think I'd ever play something that, I produced over this? The point is, it's riddled with these little crud things. And so if it wasn't for free software, we wouldn't be able to get a lot of what we, do done. So I see all this proprietary stuff. It'd be one thing if they were selling proprietary software. It's that they've gotten the rest of industry to put gates in everything to surveil things with prior restraint.
Well, actually, I disagree. I think all proprietary software is an injustice, and I won't touch it. I won't take it.
Well, sure. I mean, you know more about it than I do. I'm just saying it's horrible and it doesn't work, and it surveils me preemptively, saying I'm guilty forever, not even guilty until proven innocent.
This is a consequence of the fact that it's proprietary. You see, with proprietary software, the program controls the users, and the owner controls the program. So proprietary software is an instrument of unjust power, and of course they are tempted to do nasty things to you once they have the power. My point is that you recognize the nasty things that they do to you. My point is that the evil starts with letting them have the power in the first place. It doesn't...
I agree. So what do we do? What do we do?
Reject non-free software. I'm serious.
But I'm saying it's in television sets we buy now.
I won't buy them.
I agree. So what do you do, though?
I don't have a cable set up because the cable box is full of proprietary software that they can upgrade and that it's designed to restrict you. So I don't have cable.
Oh, here's a great example. I told you about this last time. It made the news. They, Jesse Ventura's TV show, this one episode, aired once. They didn't want it to air again, and they later admitted it. They went in with a computer and erased the show off people's DVRs. They'd paid for the cable. They'd paid for the DVR. It's supposedly their property, but they went in and erased the show.
I didn't know about this. I'd love to see an article about this. I'll spread the word. But, yeah, those DVRs are full of non-free malicious software. It's designed to restrict people. It has digital handcuffs. And the reason, but the point is, people can easily see that the malicious features are an injustice. My point is, the injustice starts deeper down. It starts when they get the power to control what the software does and what it does.
All right, I want to talk about cyborgs, but what is your this human brain chip interface that you've been researching, and give us your take on that. But Dr. Stallman, the general shape of the web, cybersecurity, internet censorship, internet IDs, internet taxes, clearly the power structure is moving towards a darkening web. A, do you agree with that? B, what's your overall view?
I agree. We're moving towards a kind of information, a computing-enabled tyranny, a surveillance state that's worse than 1984. I often describe portable phones as Stalin's dream, because Stalin would have loved to surveil people as much as portable phones do, but he couldn't.
Yeah, it tracks everywhere you're going. Google admits they can...
me, because I don't have one.
They can track where you're... They know what restaurants you're looking up, what movie you're going to go see. I mean, it's literally like a guardian devil following you around.
Yes. Oh, but of course that, it's likely to be because you're looking it up in a Google server, and they just have to connect which phone it is with what search it's doing. Now, when I do a search on the web, which I do not terribly often, but sometimes, I do it in a way that can't be connected with me. Now, there was...
How do you do that? Proxy servers?
Well, actually, I use a shared computer, which I log in on occasionally to do various such things, but mostly they're used by other people, so they can't be connected with me. And I have it delete all cookies at the end of the session, so it can't track me long-term that way. I mean, what I'm doing with those machines is not a particularly secret thing. There's nothing...
Still, it's just the exercise that... I mean, it's not particularly secret when I go and close the door and go to the bathroom, but I don't want to live in a glass house.
Exactly.
And so you either exercise these rights or you lose them, and the system wants to just tell us, oh, it's already happened. You don't have any privacy. So you know what? We're going to go ahead and just come in your house now without a warrant. How's that sound?
Yeah. Well, Jacob Appelbaum just had an interview published where he talks about the precautions that people take who really don't want to be spied on. Freedom campaigners like him.
Wow. Let's get into these brain chip interfaces. I mean, it's a labyrinth of good things, but the problem is all of it being rolled out from day one is proprietary and run by these control freaks.
Yeah, well, basically what the recent study showing that they can get information